They were supposed to be the next dynasty. Shaq, Penny, 23 years old. The best team nobody ever got to see fully built. Here is what happened to all of them. Number 1, we have Shaquille O'Neal, who was 23 years old when the 1994 to 1995 Orlando Magic reached the NBA Finals. Shaq was already the most physically dominant player in basketball and had not yet become the force that would define a generation in Los Angeles. What people forget is how young he was in Orlando. 23 years old, averaging 29 points and 11 rebounds, and the Magic swept the Chicago Bulls in the second round of those playoffs. Then came the finals sweep by the Houston Rockets, and then came the decision that broke Orlando's heart. In 1996, Shaq signed with the Los Angeles Lakers for $120 million and never looked back. In 2026, Shaquille O'Neal is 54 years old and one of the most recognizable human beings on the planet. He won 4 championships, 3 Finals MVP awards, and 1 league MVP in Los Angeles and Miami. After basketball, he earned a doctoral degree in education from Barry University in 2012. He became a television analyst, a businessman, a DJ, performing under the name DJ Diesel, and the owner of stakes in dozens of companies, including Papa John's and real estate ventures worth hundreds of millions. He was married to Shawnee Nelson from 2002 to 2011, and their divorce was highly public. He has 6 children. What most people do not know is that Shaq quietly paid for the funerals of strangers, covered bills for people he met once, and has donated millions without press releases attached. The monster on the court turned out to be one of the gentlest men off it. Orlando never forgave him for leaving. He never apologized for it. Both things can be true. Number 2, we have Penny Hardaway, who was 23 years old alongside Shaq during the 1994 to 1995 season, the most gifted point guard of his generation and one of the greatest what-if stories in NBA history. Penny was everything. He was 6'7". He could shoot, pass, defend, and create. Michael Jordan himself said Penny was the one player built to take his throne. Then his knees collapsed, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, across 7 years of surgeries and setbacks that turned one of basketball's most beautiful careers into a slow, painful erosion. In 2026, Penny Hardaway is 54 years old, and the second act of his life is remarkable. He became the head coach of the Memphis Tigers men's basketball program in 2018, returning to his hometown and the university where his legend began. He recruited James Wiseman, one of the top prospects in the country, before the NCAA ruled Wiseman ineligible over a minor payment controversy that many considered unjust. Penny has kept building. He has coached NBA-level talent through Memphis and continued turning the program into a destination. He married Mary McDonnell and has children. The career he was supposed to have on the court never happened. The life he built after it is something that deserves its own documentary. Number 3, we have Horace Grant, who was 29 years old during the 1994 to 1995 season and who brought championship experience from 3 titles in Chicago to a Magic team that desperately needed someone who had been there before. Grant was the adult in the room, the defender, the rebounder, the voice in the huddle that Shaq and Penny were too young to be. In 2026, Horace Grant is 60 years old. After Orlando, he went back to Chicago, then to Seattle, Los Angeles, and Orlando again before retiring in 2004. Most people do not know that Horace has an identical twin brother, Harvey Grant, who also played in the NBA. They faced each other in games multiple times. Horace won 3 championships with Chicago and 1 with the Lakers. He finished his career with 4 rings. He has been involved in mentoring young players since retirement and has spoken openly about the difficulty of transitioning out of professional sports. Horace Grant was never the face of any team he played for. He was always the foundation beneath the face. That is a harder job. and a more thankless one. Number 4, we have Nick Anderson, who was 27 years old during the 1994 to 1995 season, the original Orlando Magic player, the man who was there from the very first game in franchise history in 1989. Nick was the heart of that team long before Shaq or Penny arrived. He is also the man who missed 4 consecutive free throws at the end of Game 1 of the 1995 Finals against Houston, any one of which would have won the game and potentially changed the entire series. The Magic lost that game in overtime. They lost the series in 4 games. Nick Anderson never fully recovered psychologically. He has said in interviews that those 4 free throws haunted him for years, that the sound of a bouncing basketball could take him back to that moment instantly. He played in the NBA through 2002, but was never quite the same player after that night. In 2026, Nick Anderson is 58 years old and has spoken publicly about the mental health consequences of that moment in ways that athletes of his era rarely did. His honesty about the psychological weight of failure in professional sports is more valuable than any stat he ever produced. Number 5, we have Dennis Scott, who was 27 years old during the 1994 to 1995 season and who was one of the most lethal three-point shooters in the NBA at a time before three-point shooting was the dominant strategy it is today. Dennis Scott set the NBA record for three-pointers made in a single season in 1995 to 1996 with 267, a record that stood for years. In 2026, Dennis Scott is 58 years old and has built a career in television as a studio analyst and commentator, a natural transition for a man with outsized personality and genuine basketball intelligence. He has been candid about personal struggles over the years, including financial difficulties after retirement. His journey from record-breaking shooter to broadcasting is one of the more straightforward second acts on this roster, but his story about how quickly NBA money can disappear without the right guidance is one every young player should hear. Number 6, we have Brian Hill, the head coach who was 47 years old during the 1994 to 1995 season and who guided that young, explosive team to the finals in just his second year as head coach. Hill had a roster that could have dominated the decade. Then the front office fired him after the 1996 season, despite a 60-win year, a decision so confusing that it became one of the most discussed coaching dismissals in NBA history. Management reportedly wanted a bigger name. They fired the man who had built something special to chase prestige. In 2026, Brian Hill is 78 years old and has largely stepped away from public life. He returned to coach the Magic a second time from 2005 to 2007, a second chapter that ended quietly. The first chapter is what endures. He took Shaq and Penny to the finals at 47 years old and was thanked with a dismissal. Sometimes the cruelest thing a front office can do is win with you and then decide that was not enough. Number 7, we have Derek Harper, who was 33 years old during the 1994 to 95 season, a veteran point guard who provided the experienced leadership that a team built around 2 23-year-olds desperately needed. In 2026, Derek Harper is 64 years old, and he has worked in basketball development since retiring in 1999. He was one of the best defensive point guards of his era, a fact the Hall of Fame has never formally recognized despite 15 years of all-defensive level play. Harper has spoken honestly about the economics of his era, about playing without the financial safety nets today's veterans take for granted. His career is a window into what the league looked like just before the money changed everything. Number 8, we have Donald Royal, who was 29 years old that season and who gave Orlando the gritty professional bench minutes that championship-level teams require and nobody ever celebrates. In 2026, Donald Royal is 61 years old and has lived entirely outside the public eye since retiring in 1995. He has kept his personal life completely private. Some careers are not about the spotlight. They are about showing up every night and making the team better in ways the scoreboard never captures. Donald Royal did that and then went home. There is dignity in that. They were 23 years old with the whole thing in front of them. Shaq left. The knees gave out. 4 free throws changed a series. A coach got fired after 60 wins. The dynasty that never happened is one of the NBA's most haunting stories because everyone involved was talented enough. The pieces were there. The timing simply destroyed them. Drop a comment. Do you think the 1995 Orlando Magic were the greatest team that never got to be great? And what would basketball have looked like if Penny stayed healthy?